Hello and welcome to another exclusive clip from Hannah and Issa Get Real with me, Harry. And today I just wanted to outline and explain a little bit more what the zero COVID strategy is that we've been banging on about for a few clips now and in the last episode, because I think there's still a misunderstanding about this, and people think that it involves another full lockdown, which we all know is not feasible in any way, looking at the state we're in economically. Um, so I just thought I would bring up the document here. I will put it in the description, so if you want to have a read of it yourself, you can do. It's freely available, and I think you'll find that it makes a lot of sense, and actually has some clarity. And clarity is what we've really missed in this pandemic throughout from the government. From the word go, it has been shambolic. Um, hands, face, space, all of these silly slogans. We need concrete, easy to understand, sensible instructions and measures. And there's been a severe absence of that. And I think you'll find that reading this is some welcome clarity to a lot of confusion that the public are feeling at the moment. So I'm just going to read a few of these introductory points because they sort of set the scene quite nicely. So the prospect of many thousands of further deaths from COVID-19 over the next 9 months is unacceptable, and I think we can all agree with that. The UK government must propose and share with the public a strategic plan on how the pandemic is going to be managed in the next 12 months, and of how the various measures against the pandemic fit together in an integrated plan. This is another point. Plans. We have seen no evidence of a plan really throughout this crisis. It's been very ad hoc. We've basically followed suit from other countries. There's been no clear plan. We've sort of reacted to the virus instead of being ahead of the virus and planning to mitigate against it. And that's one of the major reasons why the other day it was announced that we now have the highest mortality rate in the world, in the entire world. That's not the number of deaths, because obviously America is far higher, but the mortality rate. We are the highest in the world, and that is completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable when we are in the position in the world that we are, one of the leading economies, one of the most advanced countries in the world, and we have the worst death rate in the world. It is completely disgusting and criminal negligence, in my humble opinion. Others may think differently and do think differently, but I think that is a very telling statistic, that the government are going to have a very tough task talking their way out of. So it will require the government in Whitehall to replace their failing NHS Test and Trace system with a fully fledged and locally controlled system of find, test, trace, isolate and support. This is something we have missed massively. We were promised a world leading, that was Boris's words, a world leading test and trace scheme, and he's still claiming it in the House of Commons a few weeks ago. It is not world leading, it is an absolute shambles, and it's not working. We've had a similar app-based system in Germany, which Keir Starmer brought up in opposition against Boris on this particular point, and has had several million downloads. We haven't had that here. It doesn't work. The current system doesn't work, and it is crucial for controlling and suppressing and eliminating this virus to have a scheme of testing, tracing and isolating that really works. So that is the crucial part of this plan, and the government need to get their act together as quickly as possible. So the Republic of Ireland, Scotland and Northern Ireland have already had very few cases and very small numbers of positive cases, as they now have the virus under control and are well placed to eliminate the virus. Because they have adopted this strategy, and that's the evidence is that this strategy works. Independent Sage believes that this strategy should have as its prime objective the achievement of a zero COVID Britain and Ireland. We need to be united in this. This is another issue. We're so fragmented within the UK in our approaches. It's just calamitous. So achieving elimination would allow, and this is the point that everyone can understand and everyone wants, ultimately. So achieving elimination would allow all social distancing measures to be lifted, schools to be fully open, the hospitality and entertainment industries to reopen fully, revitalisation of the economy, and a sense of much needed normality for the population. Now, I'd like to hear someone disagree with that point and explain to me and Sam and anyone else how you think there's any other way we can get back to any form of normality and those points that I've just read out. The lifting of social distancing, schools going back fully, hospitality and entertainment industries, the revitalisation of the economy. How can we achieve that if we don't eliminate this virus? I want to hear some bright ideas if anyone else has got some, because I'm up for anything to get out of this, but I can't see any other way than this strategy. So, another point I wanted to read out here, the success of other countries such as New Zealand, Australia, Iceland and South Korea in bringing the coronavirus under control is remarkable. What Britain and Ireland have in common with these three countries is that they are islands, and as we only know too well, it is the travel industry that has spread the virus across the world and brought it to our shores. And this is a really, really crucial point. Obviously, New Zealand has had it's probably the major success story of the world in dealing with this pandemic. And we have to make the point, because other people will argue this, that our population density is way, way higher than a lot of these other islands. Iceland, I mean, it has a very small population and it's very spread out, so you're not going to get as many cases, really, and it's far easier to control. But adopting this strategy would help us hugely, and we can use the benefits of being an island to really get out of this pandemic. So I'm just going to read out a couple of other points. These are the core steps. So fully develop community-based and local-led find, test, trace, isolate support programs with expanded local laboratory provision, involvement of local public sector organisations and provision of all the resources necessary to enable adherence to the regulations on notification of infectious diseases. We also need to restrict loosening of lockdown measures in any part of the UK until control of the outbreak has been achieved in that country. We need to put in place well-designed and scientifically based plans to act swiftly to contain and suppress localized flare-ups in COVID-19 infections. Now that's sort of what we're doing now, but we've got major problems with a lack of clarity on plans, and we've got problems with a lack of data and the fact that the government are not on top of their data. So managing these flare-ups is proving to be a real challenge. We've seen that when Leicester went into lockdown, they really went for their second time. They went into lockdown probably a couple of weeks late because there was an absence of the testing data that they needed, because the government only published Pillar 1 tests, the results of Pillar 1 tests, which are NHS frontline workers, basically, and critical workers. They did not publish Pillar 2, which is the general public. I mean, what sort of negligence is this? And that cost them several weeks, because the government were not on top of their figures and were not publishing them. We can't continue to do that. If we want to control these little outbreaks, we've got to have the data, and we've got to act quickly to suppress these outbreaks. We've got to also restrict incoming or outgoing personal travel internationally and within Britain, really. And I know that's not particularly what people want to hear at the moment, but it's quite restricted anyway. We've got quarantine measures in place for quite a number of countries. If you go on holiday, you have to come back and quarantine. So a lot of people are being put off going abroad anyway, and are not planning on doing abroad holidays this year. Now, some of these steps might seem a little bit extreme, or we don't want to be, people want to get back to normal. But this will reap huge benefits, and is probably the quickest way out of this. The current strategy, we're going to be in this limbo for years. But if we do this and just clamp down a little bit more, and also have reinforced regular messages to the British people from the government to say, don't drop your guard, the virus is still around. All of these little reinforcements and good communication, clear communication with the public, is a crucial part of this. So that's really the basis of it. It's quite straightforward, and I think anyone can understand it, really, including the UK government. So once again, I plead that the UK government read this document, and if anyone has got any other bright ideas of how to get out of this pandemic and back to normality as quickly as possible, then please let us know. I can't see a quicker way out of this, and it's certainly a better alternative than what we're doing at the moment. It may mean that we can't open the economy for a set number of months until we've got control of this. We may have to halt easing of restrictions a little bit to get a handle on this and get it down, drive it down to zero. But it's going to be much quicker. With the return of normality and normal life is going to be far quicker with this approach than the whack-a-mole approach, where we're closing down regularly and continually parts of the country and parts of the economy for the foreseeable future, or until there's a vaccine, which may never come anyway. So I would urge you to have a read of this document, and hopefully, now that I've explained a little bit some of the key points of this and the steps that are involved, it's not as strict as you might think. It's not another full lockdown. It's all very straightforward, and it involves the government to really pull themselves together, get themselves sorted on all of the data, get a functioning test, trace and isolate system up and running, so that we can control these local outbreaks and try and eliminate this virus. So thank you for joining me, and I hope that now makes a little bit more sense. You can read this online, as I said before, and I will put the link in the description. So thanks for watching this clip, and we'll be back soon with some more. Please click the subscribe button and the like button, and we need to spread the word about what we're doing. We've got a Twitter page. It's @Hannah_Eastwood. So please go and give us a follow on that. We post all of our videos and clips on there. So yes, we are expanding our social media. We've got a Facebook page as well. We've also got a SoundCloud, which Sam is in charge of, where he uploads our full episodes for your enjoyment. So if you don't want to look up on our faces, which we can totally understand, then you can just listen to us anytime you like, when you're on the move or whatever. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you very soon.